It's an anti-consumer, anti-driver proposal.
Leaders from the oil company Chevron are speaking out against the California Air Resources Board, or CARB, after the board proposed regulations that would increase the cost for oil companies within the state to sell oil. A CARB spokesperson said this program is the most cost-effective way for the state to achieve its mandated climate goals.
What do these refinery closures mean? And, give us a landscape.
So the two refinery closures that everybody's been referring to really caught people's attention. And the reason being, we cannot afford to lose any more. We're of the entire world, we're the third largest consumer of gasoline as a state.
Because consumers are already going to be on the hook for an extra $1 as a result of the increase in permit fees. We anticipate that gas prices could go up by $1 or more over the next 10 years as a result of this program alone.
These changes are being suggested as agencies work to adhere to the state's requirement of lowering California emissions by 40% below the levels from 1990 by 2030.
We cannot have refineries close and limit the ability to provide fuel to Californians.
The board said in their report that the threats of climate change are right here, right now, and that it is imperative the state lowers its greenhouse gas emissions.
So why did these two refineries get everybody's attention? That's 20% of the fuel supply of the state.
We won't, as an industry, be able to operate in California with this type of a tax load.
Chevron leaders say these goals could drive oil and energy companies out of the state.
Because we wouldn't be the level playing field. We would be competing with people who didn't have to pay that tax. This is an irreversible policy decision that will seriously impact California competitiveness for decades to come.
It's not like it's just gasoline, diesel. It's also jet fuel. Last time I looked, you got a pretty big airport in your backyard. So that is why this is so critical.
If this doesn't go by the way of keeping refineries open, gas prices are already averaging about $4.50 here in California. What would that do to prices?
Well, I think you had, a university professor actually talk about this and estimated $8 to $10 a gallon if things don't turn around.
Earlier this week, the Chevron president sent a letter to Governor Gov Newsom and other state leaders urging them to reconsider these proposed regulations.
What you've got going on in California, you've got gas prices going to the moon. Yeah, Iran thing's got a little bit to do with it. Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, okay. But more importantly, what's happened in California is California doesn't have its own ability with the refineries in place to generate enough gas and fuel products to do what it needs to do. It is a massive, massive user of gas oil products. And now you've got, within a couple of weeks, you have 3 of the biggest refineries that basically cover California have reached out to the governor of California, to the boards, the energy boards that need to hear, hey, what you're proposing to do with your whole CARB cap and trade nonsense is you're driving out all the refineries. So we started with, right now, we've got Marathon Petroleum is the letter we're talking about today. We've had Chevron and we've had PBF Energy. I think it's PBF Energy. The 3 main refinery companies in California. And, it's basically the industry that's left in California. And they are all selectively telling Newsom, hey, you got to do something because we're going to shut down. We're going to shut down. We can't do business here. And that's going to have, if any more of these refineries close down, we just had another 20% close down with the Benicia refinery, with the Phillips 66. That's somewhere around 20%. Just boom, done. And now California is relegated to importing all of its fuel. And so when you import, and then when you've got a situation like what's going on in Iran, then, you should have the ability to domestically produce. California has the 4th or the 5th largest oil reserves in the United States, 1.8 billion gallons, I think, are in the ground. But, only a tiny fraction of that's being put out because California's leadership is so hell-bent on the Green New Deal, right? Making things all so clean. But in the meantime, they're absolutely sinking the oil companies, the refineries' ability to make money, and they're basically saying, hey, we're out. We're out. We just saw what Valero did. Valero said, nope, we're out. Can't do it. And their stock price went up. That's what we just heard. Stock price went up because the investors are like, good, get out of California. Get out of California. Let's take a look at this letter. This is what we're focusing on today. So we've got the Honorable Gavin Newsom. Is he honorable? Yeah. We got Lauren Sanchez, California Air Resources Board, CARB. We've got the California Energy Commission, the CEC. We've got California State Senate, and we've got California State Assembly. CARB's proposed cap and investment amendments. So these are amendments to the cap and invest deal that they've got going on. So they've got changes coming. And you had PBF, and then you had Chevron, and then now, and these are boom, 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 boom letters written saying, hey, this ain't going to work out well for consumers, for the state, for defense, for all kinds of reasons. These three major companies have individually sent these letters. Will substantially increase refining costs, threaten fuel reliability, jeopardize jobs and state revenues. And it's going to, these refineries will close down because they cannot make money with the regulations that are in place. With the proposed amendments, they cannot make a go of it. And they are saying, hey, you put these in place as is, we're done. We're going to close down. And you know what? I think that is what California is trying to do. They're trying to do a massive, massive virtue signal to the world. Oh, look at how great and clean we are. You know what it's going to do for consumers in California? It's going to send gas to like $12 a gallon. We've already got gas at $8 in downtown LA right now. And that's with just a little bit of a blip in the world energy markets, right? With the whole thing in Iran. Marathon Petroleum Corporation is deeply concerned with the California Air Resources Board proposed amendments to cap and invest. California refineries are already among the most expensive refineries to operate in the world, as evidenced by Valero just saying, nope, we're done. We're going to spend $1 billion to close down the Benicia refinery. $1 billion to sink it. Yeah, that's not going in the right direction. As written, CARB's proposal would further widen the cost disparity, forcing refineries to reconsider whether operations in California remain viable. Now, the cost disparity, let's talk about that for a second. The companies that are importing gasoline and related products into California, they don't have to abide by this at all. Just the refineries that are in place. So you've got this wildly disparate cost base that California refineries are battling against. And where they're at is sending letters saying, hey, this ain't going to work. And in response, we're probably going to close down our refineries as well. You only got 7 left. You got 7 left, right? And we've covered all but 6 of those refineries between PBF, Marathon, and Chevron. And the other one is Valero with their Wilmington refinery, and they just closed down Benicia. So the writing is on the wall that this is going on. And what does this do to gas prices? Well, to the moon. Like the title says, to the moon. Forcing refineries to reconsider operations in California remain viable, meaning their back's against the wall and they're going to shut her down. Why would they continue to stay in business if California is going to push them to basically be insolvent, to not making money? They wouldn't. These are publicly traded companies. They owe a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. And the state of California is saying, you know what? F you guys. We don't care. Figure it out. F you guys. And I think that is what's going to happen. You're going to have a couple more refineries shut down. And then you're going to have Gavin Newsom point to the cost of gasoline in California and lie and basically state, this is the oil refineries problem. Well, it's not. We know it's not because the refineries are launching these letters and we've read each one of them. And that's what we're doing right now. They are warning California. They are warning the governor, the California Air Resources Board, California Energy Commission. California Energy Commission was tasked with finding a buyer for the Valero refinery. Hey, you guys want a really good deal on a California refinery that slightly used, very efficient, but slightly used. The kicker is it's in California. That's a little bit of a tough sell at this point in time. Yeah, nobody wanted to buy it. To the point where Valero sunk $1 billion and said, bye-bye. We're happy to leave, happy to go. This action will undermine the security of California's fuel supply by having a bunch of these things shut down, directly affect consumers because gas going to the moon, creates significant economic, workforce, and national security consequences. Petroleum refineries are vital to California's economy, supporting high-quality union and non-union jobs. Marathon employs 2,000 workers in California, contracted approximately 5,300 full-time equivalent contractors. It's a big industry. And each time one of these shuts down, we heard testimony from all the folks in Benicia. Like, man, we are a one-trick pony, economy. We've got Benicia, we've got the refinery, we've got Valero as the employer. Not really sure what we're going to do after they close down because all those jobs just go by the wayside. Refineries pay state and local taxes that fund essential public services, ensure a reliable supply of transportation fuel. This fuel keeps goods moving through complex supply chains across agriculture, manufacturing, logistics, and consumer markets. Oil and gas is about 8% of California's GDP, but it impacts the ability of the state to create that other 92% because gasoline goes into damn near everything. And even stuff it doesn't go into, stuff's got to get shipped, right? Put it on a truck, put it, however you get it there, airplane, jet fuel. It's all dependent upon oil. And yet California is doing their absolute best to push out these refineries from being able to do business. They don't want them. They're so green, they're so full of virtue that they can't see the end result, which is that California refineries are going to say goodbye, which they've already done. They are in the process of doing. And now you're down to literally 7 of these bad boys left. Wild stuff. California refineries also fulfill the majority of the state's jet fuel demand. So without that, how's that going to go? Supporting California's travel and tourism. Shut down the airports. What do you think that looks like for California? Shut down the airports. These are the warnings that these letters are being written to the governor at the top. These are warnings. Hey, this is going to happen. What do you think? You know what Newsom does? He just blames he's going to blame Trump. He's going to blame Trump's war on Iran. He's going to blame big oil on, just like Joe Biden did. You guys are just taking big profits. Literally, profit taking. It's like, okay. Well, when they're not profit taking because you've pushed them out of business, we'll just see how that goes. Because right now, the crazy thing is California wants to be so green with all this clean energy stuff, right? But they're bringing in the vast majority of their oil products on imports. And right now, a bunch of it's coming from Houston to the Bahamas, through the Panama Canal, to California. I mean, the stuff that gets emitted into the environment with that oil tanker alone is just nuts. And then you're bringing stuff in from other countries, mainly Asia, bringing in a ton of oil from Asia. How do you think that gets here? On big, just emitting emissions into the Earth's atmosphere. Oil tanker, right? Because they basically run on sludge. Is that good for the environment? Oh, it doesn't count against our domestic whatever. So, okay. All right. So, no, it's not good for the environment. But because it isn't tagged to California leadership just says, you know what I mean? Just mentally challenged. It's what it is. It's mentally challenged. If refineries are driven out of the state, these jobs, tax revenues, and economic benefits will be lost and cannot be easily replaced. Even if they idle out 1 or 2 of these refineries, getting those bad boys back up, I mean, it is a mission from God. These are not little tiny, machine shop operations. These are massive, massive deals. And when you idle them down, And odds are you're not bringing them back. These companies are investing literally billions of dollars to shut these down and not bring them back because California's energy policies are so terrible, including these proposed amendments are so terrible that the company's willing to say, we're done. We're out. Peace out. We're done. It's wild stuff. Let's get down to the conclusion. If CARB finalizes, the California Air Resources Board, CARB finalizes these proposed amendments as written, they will impose costs on an in-state refinery so significant that they risk higher transportation fuel prices, California residents. We know that's happening. That's going to happen no matter what, because you're already importing 70-something% of your fuel. You're already importing because, and you don't need to be. You could be getting out of the ground in California. You could be having way cheaper gasoline for your residents. But instead, you're just absolutely hosing them with super high gas prices. We got loss of high quality jobs. Yep. Okay. All right. Yep. That's a downside. Declines in state and local tax revenues. California can't afford that. You got all these, people leaving, industries leaving, businesses leaving. You've got businesses leaving left and right. California doesn't have the ability to make up for those losses. Increased dependence on imports. Yeah. And how about when those imports, their supply chain gets rocked? Then you don't have the ability to do it domestically. Your prices are going to go to the moon. And that's why they're going to the moon now. Reducing security of gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel supply because you don't have the ability to get it from where you already are because you have to import it. Compromised military fuel availability and national security. There are so many military bases in California. And remember, Nevada gets 88% of its fuel products from California. Arizona gets a big chunk as well. So it's not just California. It's these other adjacent states as well. And California is kind of responsible for a lot of the West Coast military security. And if you have a massive, massive fuel issue, the military gets the gas from the same place everybody else does, wherever it comes in. And if it's not coming in, then you start to ration everything. And then all of a sudden, you've got a situation where you don't have any fuel. You don't have any fuel bringing stuff in. You got planes that are grounded. And you've got a massive, massive issue if you've got some kind of military deal going on. Now, Governor Newsom, he said that this was fear-mongering. But if you just look at the reality of what's going on, you've already got all of these refineries that have closed down, gone out of business. Not too many years ago, you had more than 40 refineries in California. Now you got 7. And of those 7, 6 have already identified, hey, we might be out of this unless you change these proposed amendments. And the 7th one is Valero, which just literally closed down the Benicia refinery. So we're not talking hyperbole here. We're not talking just nonsense, let's just babble a bunch of stuff. This should work out fine. You're watching this happen in real time. And you're watching what happens with terrible, terrible Democrat-led progressive policy is driving the refining industry into the ground, can't compete, and they're basically saying no go. And these letters, 3rd letter inside of 2 weeks? Hey guys, need a little redo here on your amendments. Let's get something going. You know what California's going to do? Nothing. They're just going to, they want a virtue signal. Oh, we're so green. We're so green. Yeah, you got $18 a gallon gasoline. Yeah, but we're so green. Is that what you want? Maybe that is what you want, California. I don't know, because why did you vote in gruesome Newsom in the first place? It's on you. If you didn't, I feel sorry for you. Got to deal with it. I'm in the same boat here in Washington State. A little bit different. We've got adequate fuel supplies. We've just got a tax that is just onerous. We've consistently got some of the highest gasoline costs in the country. We're consistently number 3 behind Hawaii and California. And those are policy-driven things. Hawaii's an island, and it's, thousands of miles offshore, and so they got to import everything anyway, and so it's expensive. The California and Washington, those could be avoided, but you got Democrats running things, and they want a virtue signal versus look at reality and go, maybe we should make a change here. I don't think they will. So gasoline costs to the moon. What does that mean? $12 a gallon? Maybe so. Maybe so. $12 a gallon. Insane. And I'll podcast it right here for you on News for Reasonable People. Thanks again for joining. Love to have you subscribe. Feel that good stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.